Hey, what's up, lovely people? It's the Lemesis. I'm your nemesis, but you can call me Lem. I'm here today to maybe we'll get into some gameplay later, but predominantly we want to discuss what's going on with these balances that were released today. I'm sure I have a unique take on it, as I find out today. I tend to have a unique take on a lot of things. So, we're just here to discuss, we're here to have fun. We might be here to complain a little bit, but let's get it going. So let's pull up the balance patch, and let me turn this down just a little bit. Hopefully the music is pretty decent. All right, and then let's get the report up. So we'll just pull up a link, read more, and we'll get into those balance patches. There we go. Get into the news. Let's expand this. So we're going to check out the patches for today. Let's see what we got going on. Now, I've already gone through this myself. And I'll tell you now that I'm not too, I think it's more negative than positive. And I want you to hear me out. Sorry, I'm sipping my tea here. So hopefully you don't hear that. We're just going to go through. We're going to read it straight up. I see a lot of others, they don't really go line by line. I'm going to go line by line. We're going to be very thorough, and we're going to discuss everything. Give our input, what we like, what we don't like, and we'll move on from there. So one thing I like also is that they actually have it on their website. I don't have to go to Discord. I don't have to go to some, weird place where the update notes are. It's directly here, which is nice, directly on their website. So patch highlights. Let's start off with the token shop updates. So weekly spotlight. When a new Series 5 card is released, it will be immediately featured in its own section for its first week in Marvel Snap. Once you buy the weekly spotlight card, this section will be hidden until the next new card is released. And if you want the newest card at release, here's what you've been waiting for. This is a really good update. They talked about this several weeks back that they were going to be doing this, the weekly spotlight. I like it. I actually got Jeff today, the card. I'm not really happy about the purchase, but I had the tokens. I was waiting on Kitty Pryde. I had Kitty Pryde pinned. So I was like, you know what? I need some kind of gratification for holding on to those tokens for so long. I'm sure I'll probably hold the 6K tokens for Living Tribunal. I talked about getting Master Mold, but maybe I won't, because you don't really see him anywhere. He might need some other cards, right? But maybe he's good in like a disruption deck where you disrupt the hand and you disrupt the board. So, but I still feel like there's some missing pieces to that to really make it work, to really be annoying the way they have things set up right now. So we'll see. So I like that update. Good job. So we're in the right direction. Ultimate variants are some of the most epic variants in the game. We felt they deserve their own section too. We're moving ultimate variants out of the way of seeing series 4 and 5 cards and into their own rotation for those of you who want to make your decks much cooler. Now, I am at that place where variants matter to me more than they did before. Not too much more, because a new card is more important, but I guess the thing is I've gotten to the point where I like a certain deck style and I just want to play that way. Like, I'm kind of stuck on just playing a certain way. I like playing that way. I think that's the best way to play. You might have, in my opinion, I don't need more card slots. I don't need 20, 30, 40, 50 different card slots. I'm like I treat this game almost, not exactly, almost like I treat my women in my life, right? I have my wife, and that's it. I don't really like messing around with a lot of stuff. So that's what I mean by that. Like, I just want to stick with a couple decks that I really like. I like to pilot them. And then maybe I'll dibble and dabble in other new styles of decks whenever they create like an unranked mode, because that's the key, right? If you're going to use 15, 20 different decks, you got to be willing to go out on the ladder and lose. And I don't really I'm at that state where I'm like, I don't really care if I make it to infinite, but I don't want to like purposely lose trying a new deck. That's so annoying, right? Because you don't want to play the way Marvel Snap wants you to play, snapping or not snapping and retreating when you have a new deck. You just want to dive in there and get going. Like, that's what I see a lot of people complaining about as they continually play Marvel Snap, that they're realizing it's getting stagnant. Been saying that for months now. And again, an update like this is not going to help. And the reason why I say that is because Marvel Snap is making the changes, and they're changing specific cards. They're not changing by adding new cards. They're changing by editing existing cards. The meta shouldn't change that way. The meta should change by them adding new cards, giving us the ability and agency to choose what we want to do. We have fun, we go out there, we play with a new style deck, etc., and we move on. This way is bland. I don't think it's going to work. I think everyone's hyped up right now. That's how it is when you have new updates, but sadly but surely, when it's all said and done, you're just going to want to leave, right? The same feeling's going to settle in, and you're just not going to want to play, right? Because how many cards do they even drop? You know, they got Jeff. I got the ultimate variant for a Hulk in my token shop, but what does he do? Nothing. I think ultimate variants should do a lot more than what they currently do if you're going to spend 5,000 tokens on it. So maybe a different animation would be nice. I don't even think that's the case. I think it's just a cool looking artwork, right? That like no one else has, that you have to pay for just to have. So, you know, maybe we should look into that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's all it is. An ultimate variant is just really cool, epic artwork. So, but it's nice to see that, because again, I am at that place where I think variants are a little more important. I have my deck style, and then maybe I just want to improve how that deck looks. There's some really great artwork for, you know, these heroes that exist, and in new artwork that just is being created. So as we get those cool decks and that cool artwork, you know, depending on how many tokens I collect over time, I could potentially have an entire deck filled with amazing cards that look really cool, match the style that I want to portray when I'm playing. So that's cool. This is, you know, 3 out of 10, 5 out of 10 update. This up here, really great update. I don't really care too much about variants, but I care much more than I did before. That price has to drop, though. 5,000 tokens. Again, if we can just collect the live long, you know, collect all the tokens we can, you know, the live long day, right? Then great. But right now, you know, you got some great cards coming out. I'm not wasting any on any variants. Yeah, we're good. So then next, Series 4 and 5. This section functions nearly the same as previously, but only features 4 and 5 series cards. This is great. This section will feature a card you don't own from all your current available series 4 or 5 cards. This is great, and it rotates every 8 hours. That's not great. Series 5 cards will be added to the section once they leave the weekly spotlight. I would suggest to shorten this. I get why they have it as 8, but you know, you don't want to live your whole life around this game. The fact that they want you to check twice a day, 24 hours in a day, once every 8 hours, you have to be thinking about Marvel Snap. You know, it's kind of funny. Last night, after Kitty Pryde, when I found the news about Kitty Pryde, I unpinned her from the token shop, and literally in the middle of the night, I was thinking, oh man, I forgot to go back and check the token shop to see if a new card updated when it was like 11 in the evening. And just, you know, to me, that's silly, right? Like, my mind shouldn't have to be thinking about the game that way. So I don't know. I just find that silly. You know, this stuff like this, specifically the rotation every 8 hours, that tells you what their true agenda is. I also think some of the updates that they made was focusing on monetization, right? But I don't think a lot of people are saying that. When we get there, you'll see. This is really cool. Game board update. I think they're going to monetize this later in the future, where they'll give you the ability to update your board. We made some updates to our game board. Check out the new art in FX. I like it. I've seen it. Looks good. Maybe we'll see some today. Seasonal drops for the series. This is good. Some cards have dropped down to lower series. This is good for the average player who's not spending any money. For me, it's useless. So we have Ghost dropping to Series 4, Stature dropping to Series 4, MODOK to Series 4, and then Shuri, Bass, Valkyrie, Super Skull, and Black Panther to Series 3. None of these impact me, but it does impact a lot of players. I think this is a really good update. These cards kind of, these cards kind of suck, right? MODOK's not all that great. Stature is Ghost is trash, basically. So, I'll get Ghost now, right? I'll get Stature. So that's what makes me feel good about this slightly, that I'll actually get the card and it won't be, because that's what's happening. Like, Series 5 shouldn't even be mentioned that you get it in the collector's track, because you don't. And people who do, I mean, wow. But you just don't get Series 5 cards in the collector's track, but you definitely get cards that are Series 4 in the collector's track. So that tells me for sure in the next month, I'm going to get these two. So that feels like, oh, okay. Will I use these two? Probably not, but I'll get them. So that's cool. I already own all of these cards, so that's not a big deal. Let's go to general updates. Again, this is, let's give that, we had, what do we say? 8 out of 10 or something like that. This is a 5 out of 10. And then this, maybe this is 7 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10 right there. And then this update right here, I mean, that's 10 out of 10, but I think they're leading up to monetization. Then we got the series drops. This is always good. That's 8 out of 10. So let's go to general updates. Players that reach infinite rank will only match against other infinite rank players. Wow. We've needed this for a very, very long time. I've been to infinite at least twice that I can recall before they made the changes to increasing the amount of cubes you get when you hit like 50 and 40 and 30. I don't know if it even starts at 30. But there's really no reason to make it to infinite. And guess what? There still is no reason to make it to infinite. But it is nice to know that you're not going to be playing against infinite players. So that means you'll still probably be playing cheating bots, or bots that, make it easy for you to climb. But you're not getting the brakes beat off of you by infinite players if you get to match. Now, this is interesting for someone like myself, because I'm like an infinite style player, but my ranking doesn't match where I probably belong. So I was getting stuck with playing a lot of, cheating bots or infinite players that were already at infinite. And because, my MMR is probably decently high and my collection level is extremely high, that's what was happening to me. And I just wasn't willing to put in the amount of time to get to infinite. It's just not worth it to me. It's just not, for like, what reward am I going to get? And I just don't think the game is healthy to do that. Again, I think this game just needs an unranked mode, and that would help. So this is a step in the right direction. I don't want to say this is the best thing ever, but to me, it's just like, well, it's what you're supposed to do, right? Why do you, I said this in a previous video. It's like, you're trying to get into the club, and what this did before was, if I had to go to the club, I didn't know, not only did I have to pass the bouncer at the front door of the club, I had to get past the bouncer at my front door of my master bedroom, and then the front door of my home. And then when I got to my car door, I had to beat him there. And then I get out of my car after I've driven to the club, and I got to beat him outside of there. And then I walk up to the front door of the club, and I got to beat him again just to get to the club. That's how infinite was. It was, I got to beat these players over and over and over again. And it's before I even get to infinite. And then when I'm in the club, I'm in the infinite ranking, that's all I'm seeing is a bunch of bouncers left and right, So hopefully you get the analogy. I think that's funny. If you don't want to laugh, that's fine. When you tap on a card for more details in the shop or collection, the card details screen now features artist credits, card series label, series 3, 4, 5, variant variety, variant rarity, label, etc. So I saw this. You expect more, right? When I went in there, I was kind of like, what change did they make? It's a subtle change, but it is there. You do see the rarity. You do see everything that it labels here, but it's almost like you thought, it was almost like it was always there, but you just didn't notice, even though it was technically not there. So that's a mood point change, right? It's like, who cares? That doesn't really matter. When inspecting cards in game, you can now flip them to see the card back in full detail. So I didn't see this. I didn't do this. So that's kind of cool. So we can inspect cards, and I'm going to do this the next time we play. We've also updated other areas of viewing card backs to show their 3D details. This is what I was trying to do. So I was like clicking on cards in the card collection area, and I wasn't able to achieve this. So I'd really like to know where else you can do this besides in game, because normally when I'm in game, I'm focused on the game. I'm not trying to, you know, look at certain things. Sometimes I do, right? When you get a boom, you're like, well, look at this juggernaut. My God, I want that, you know? Now, here's an interesting one I think people gloss over. After roughly 10 hours of gameplay in a day, players will stop earning Season Pass XP for gameplay for the remainder of the day. Are you serious? What is going on? This is ridiculous. This is a step in the wrong direction. So you're not rewarding players for playing your game long? Now, I remember I was playing 8 hours a day a while back. So technically it didn't even impact me, but you're putting in a 10-hour gameplay cap? So you don't want to reward players who play your game a lot? So they could play your game for 24 hours and you know, get no sleep, and you're not going to reward them? That is outrageous. Again, it's like time gating. Like, what are you doing? Stop it. Stuff like this is so silly to me. This tells me that your team does not understand your player base. People want to play your game, surprisingly, more than 10 hours, to the point where you felt like you needed to put that cap in. And you want to penalize them? You want to act like you're being responsible? Don't stop it. Like, because we see what you're trying to do. Here's what you do, right? Well, I've noticed what they've done. The token shop, they say that we want to limit how much gold you spend. You know what that really means? It means that every day you accumulate the allotted amount of tokens that you can purchase, or allotted amount of purchases that you can get from tokens. So let's show you this, what I'm talking about, so it makes more sense. So when you come down here and you want to purchase, look, I got that Jeff. Look at that. Oh, stature could just be purchased, huh? I'm kind of tempted to just get stature, man. Like, just that reward of just like, I'm getting another card. I'm getting another card. The thing is, I might get her. If this was, let's move on, because I feel like they're trying to get me. Here's what happens, right? Buy credits to upgrade your cards. Purchasable limited number of times per day. Do you know how this really works? Because I've tested it. I've tested it plenty of times. It's about 3 to 4 times per day that you can purchase the 500. I don't have the exact number off top of my head because I don't have that data pulled up right now. And then it's about 2 times for the 150. Well, if you purchase every single day, then you get your max 3 credits, 3 500 credit bundles, and your 2 150 credit bundles, and you get your free 50, and you can move on. But if you let them stack over time, tomorrow you can buy as many as you want. So I mean I've done this, pretty much as many as you want within reason, right? You're not gonna be able to blow $10,000 in a day. But what's the difference if The average person is not spending that much per day. They're just pretending to care about you, and they really don't care. So I remember I came in here and I just was like, and this happened months ago when I figured this out. So when I would first do this, I was spending probably money every day within reason. And then I also had enough gold every day just from playing the game to get the credit. So then if I bought $100 worth of gold, I couldn't just come here and spam the $500 credit for 400 gold each. I could only do it a few times and then it would cap out. But then because the game has nothing for you to do over time, I was just like, I don't really want to buy anything. And then a cool bundle came out and it was like, it was a while. Maybe like a month went by, close to a month, and I didn't buy anything. And I just bought $100 worth of gold. And in one sitting, I just kept hitting that button and I was able to spend all of my gold. All 8,000 of the gold I sat here and spent in one sitting. So what it does is it collectively adds up. So that means if you probably stop playing this game for like a year and you show up, it has a record of how many days you skip. That's what I'm assuming. I don't know if you have a cap on a given day, but I do know you could easily spend $100-200 without being stopped. So it's just them pretending to be responsible, looking out for you when we know that's not the case, right? If they really cared about you and didn't want you to be irresponsible, they wouldn't call the game Marvel Snap and they wouldn't base the game off of, gambling tactics, right? So let's be real. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's stop trying to lie to each other because I just think it's a waste of our time if we're not being honest. And I think that's the problem with them is that they're trying to skirt the line of like, we care, but you really don't care. So let's see. Collection level track has been extended. Okay. That's you're supposed to get the big piece of chicken, right? That's what Chris Rock said. If you're the dad, you're supposed to get the big piece of chicken. If you're the dad, you're supposed to take care of your children. If you're Marvel Snap, the collection level track should always be extended. I don't know why you allowed it to stop at 15K, but it should have always been extended. You're supposed to give people season pass rewards for gameplay. Now you're doing something what the dad should be doing, but he's not doing. So let's move on. Audio. New card sounds for Squirrel Girl was really cool. I have Squirrel Girl in one of my favorite decks. She puts like nuts everywhere, which is cool. I haven't seen the Camp Lehigh sound. It's always weird that a big old trumpet shows up, but there's no sound. That was odd. And add VO support for Thai and Indonesia. All right, balance updates. Now we're getting to the good stuff. In the wake of our last balance change, we saw the metagame settle into a much healthier shape than it had been before. However, we were too shallow with our adjustments to the Shuri Taskmaster decks and Lockjaw Leech shells, both with and without Thanos, have remained solid contenders. Today's changes aim to push them both of those decks off their clear top spots. Outside of Shuri's Taskmaster, the metagame is looking healthy on our internal metrics. Again, problem with the paragraph. Today's changes aim to push both of those decks off their clear top spots. Look at the words. Today's changes aim to push, not buff, not increase. You know what could be said? Today's changes increase the viability of multiple decks today to be contenders with the clear top spots that currently control the meta. Wouldn't you want to play a game designed by me? I'm trying to make every card and every deck style viable, but I'm doing it by buffing. Here's what they're doing. They're nerfing cards, and you guys think that's smart. And it's not smart. It's very unintelligent. And yes, I'm going to use polarizing words and phrases on purpose because you need to understand the errors of your ways. It's not I'm superior, you're inferior. No, it's I'm thinking about the bigger picture. I'm thinking about what a game is for. It's meant to be fun. And I'm looking at Marvel, the lore of Marvel, why you're even here. You're here because you want to have fun. You're here because you want to be overpowered and over the top. That's why we care so much about superheroes. If we didn't care about superheroes with superpowers, then you wouldn't see this craze associated with it. People want to be Cyclops, they want to be Superman, they want to be Wolverine and the Hulk. But what happens when the Hulk is not the Hulk anymore? And he's not a superhero. No one really cares that much about that person. So we want to suspend reality, and we want to enjoy what it's like to just envision how we would be if we were to be like some of the heroes or villains that we admire. And that's what this game is lacking. It's not understanding that. It's trying to take the heroes and all of their lore and their great power and hindering them and handcuffing them when they're not handcuffed on the comic book pages. They're handcuffed here in this game. So let's go and see all the handcuffing they've done. Card updates. Shuri, previously 4-2 on reveal, double the power of the next card you play. And then updated, she's a 4-2 on reveal. If you play your next card here, double its power. So it doesn't automatically kill the card, but let's hear what they have to say. Developer comments, we considered a number of changes to Shuri, but they all tended to ruin her current decks. Some even theoretically risked making a new monster with different parts. That's not great. It's not a great risk to run when balancing a problematic strong card. The change we're making today may seem small and subtle, but we expect it to be impactful and retain the same flow of play for her existing decks, which is a consistent goal in our balance philosophy. This nerf removes Cosmo protective capacity for her target, makes single card answers like Valkyrie easier to aim, and indirectly buffs lanes control elements like Professor X. We're taking a risk here, and that is this nerf could leave Shuri still a strength outlier. If so, we'll react quickly. Again, how many times can I say this? Wouldn't it make more sense to say, hey guys, we're going to release a patch to not make the top cards or the top decks get pushed off their top spots? But if I said I'm going to buff multiple cards for multiple decks so that they can contend with the cards in the top spot, what sounds better? We got to start realizing that there's philosophies that are just wrong and there's philosophies that are right. And we don't have enough people who are willing to like test things. It's like, I love this idea. It's like, even with religion, bringing up something like religion, people want to like dog on it, but can we like test it? Let's test it out. Let's put it to the test. To me, it's like, as a Christian, I have zero issues with that because I know my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is going to prove it time and time again. Why don't you, instead of dogging it and pretending that like, oh man, this stuff is so silly, this is so stupid, I don't want to have to deal with this. No, put it to the test. Read it for what it says. Put it to the test. Put what you're doing to the test, Marvel Snap. This is what you're doing. Your game's not fun. You've been doing it since October. We see the game's not fun. Everyone's waiting for you to come out with a patch to make the game fun for them again. So the only time people think the game is fun is when you come out with a patch. Instead of the patch you drop is a bunch of cards. So then we have fun playing with all the cards until you give us new cards. What do you think makes more sense? Can we put that to the test, Marvel Snap? No, we won't. Why? Because your philosophy, you are stuck on it. You are a lame company, Second Dinner, because you have people at the top who want to do things their way. And guess what? I guess you have the right to do that. But we have the right also as a consumer. And what I'm telling you as a consumer is if you keep this up, you're releasing 52 cards a year. No one's going to care about your game at the end of this year if this is what you keep doing. No one. I won't care. I promise you, unless you drastically change the way you release cards and the cards' power and their impact in the game, I'm not going to be playing your game anymore. and I'm a spender. I spent thousands on this game. So you're losing me as a consumer, right? I'm live streaming. I'm taking my time out of my day because I have the time and I have the finances to do it. And I'm trying to help by stirring up the pot and putting out my ideas so that maybe, just maybe, you'll hear what I have to say and then potentially take it into consideration. But I have the right, just like any consumer, to walk away. And if I feel this way, ooh, you should be concerned, Second Dinner, because I was willing to spend. I was willing to believe in you. There's a lot of people who don't believe in you. Not enough to spend as much as I've spent. So if you're losing me, you're in deep water. Leech. Previously a 5/3. On reveal, remove abilities from all cards in your opponent's hand. Now at the start of turn 6, remove all abilities from cards in your opponent's hand. So it's kind of a moot point. I don't know. I thought, in my opinion, this doesn't really do anything to Leech. And here's why. Early Leech from a Lockjaw probably didn't, I would love to see the numbers, but it probably didn't nerf a lot of the significant cards in your deck. What you really wanted to do anyway was whenever the turn, whatever turn had the most cards in your hand, that's when you wanted to Leech. That's why he was a 5/3 and you played him. Nerfing cards in the beginning of your hand is just like, let's put it this way. All right, let's say you're able to put Leech down on turn 1, which there's been cases you can do that. There's locations that allow you to do that. So I've played this game a lot, and I mean, as you can see, my collection level was, over 9,000. I spent a lot of money, of course, but I've played the crap out of this game. It's like, if you had such a bad hand at the beginning and to the point where like Leech nerfed it, you probably should have retreated anyway, right? I would look at like a turn 1, 2, or 3 Leech as like, was your hand really that good anyway? Probably not. So you should have just left. And then I look at a turn 5 Leech as like, oh, that's when you're supposed to play him. So he nerfs the next turn, right? So he still nerfs all the cards in your hand on turn 6. And then people are bringing up, well, you could play Magic, but well, how many decks are you going to remove certain cards out and just to put Magic down so you have a turn 7? And you know what's going to happen. People are going to play to Leech you, and then you're going to try to turn 7 it, and they're going to just end it on turn 6. And then you lose. So, to me, this kind of makes Leech a little better because you don't stop his on reveal. Like, you could put Cosmo down. Now I can play him in a Cosmo lane. At the start of turn 6, don't matter none. Remove all abilities from cards in your opponent's hand. And I don't remember people being upset that, like, wow, Leech came out on turn 3. So this makes me really mad. No, I think people just didn't like the abilities removed from their cards. So I'm seeing people today talking about it like, this is perfect. It's like, bro, he does the same thing. It's if anything, he's better because he can't be stopped. He just has an ability and you can't stop it. You can't stop this ability at all. I mean, the only way you can really stop Leech is, I don't even know. Like, you just can't. At the start of turn 6, remove all abilities from cards in your opponent's hand. That's it. Now, I guess if he gets destroyed, if you play him on turn 5, and then Galactus comes on the board, and then Galactus destroys everything, then it doesn't matter, because then at least Leech has to be on the board, so he's kind of like a Daredevil. But, I mean, come on, guys. This is the same. So it says, it's never been our goal for Leech to be a heavily played card, and we understand that's been a frustration lately. Again, like, it's not about you, Second Dinner. Listen to what they're saying, people. It's never been our goal for Leech to be heavily played. So that's the point I'm making. You're seeing whoever's even wording this is telling on themselves. Who cares about your goal? The goal is we want to play with what you've provided. So you've played it. Who cares if what we play is what we want to do? Now you're trying to tell us how to play the game. That's the problem. When you have companies that are so focused on trying to tell you how to play their game, that's a problem. They're control freaks. You made a game, you built it, you designed it, and then now you want to tweak it every day, every week, every month to make sure that we're playing it your way. That's ridiculous. When it's happening, it usually means the finisher is generically strong against pure power, like Leech Leader, and or deck can play Leech early, then turn 5 too often, like Lockjaw Thanos. We've tried in the past to weaken the stronger cards in those decks. Again, how about increasing the strength of existing cards that matter? That's why they only want to buff 1 or 2 cards a week. We tried in the past to weaken the stronger cards in those decks, and that just tells you that means they're not going to change cards, really. They think that the most of the cards in their game are good, when the average person thinks, man, most of the cards in their game are trash. But again, if you go the route of buffing, then they're afraid that by buffing something, they're going to have to nerf something. And it's like, stop it. There's a philosophy issue here. Philosophically, we are not aligned. Thus, we've decided to remove the early Leech from the equation. Leech is designed to counter some powerful endgame cards and combinations from a unique angle without any setup, which is important to have around in the event those decks begin to overperform. This change should let him fulfill that role when necessary without ever making him a foundational piece of the metagame. Honestly, maybe I don't have problem with second dinner if they were more intelligent in their approach on how they release cards in the game. If they release cards in a game in a way where they actually tested them and Leech was originally this, I don't know if I'd have a problem. I think I would just say, you know what? The cards in the game still need to be buffed because they're a little lackluster, but at least the frustrations and the anger that I would have would go away because there'd be no money that I spent on the game. So the cards that got nerfed wouldn't really matter, right? So to me, it's like, these are the types of things that I think they need to be focusing on before they release a card. So you limit how much you take away from your customer base who paid you money based off of a certain example that you set or a certain value you've placed on a card initially. Like, I paid you for a specific value. I paid you for Shuri, right? I paid to get Shuri. I bought Shuri as a Series 5 card. You've decreased the value of my card. Now, this is not a vehicle. You know, at the very least, a vehicle, I have a tangible product. This is a digital card. That means if you just disappear one day and Second Dinner gets shut down or a bomb hits them, I lose everything. So I should get some kind of compensation for the money I spent on that card. Sony has servers. Xbox has servers. If their servers get crashed or destroyed, all the people who bought these digital games, it's over. So there's no compensation for that. And I love how we just put legal jargon to protect them. Your legal jargon means nothing to me. I think people need to understand what I'm promoting is that we need to stand up as a people, and we need to demand better from our businesses. We need to demand better from the companies that we provide money to when we purchase their products. And if we don't get better, we stop spending. That's what I think you should do. We need to stop being lazy. We need to go back to the days where we worked and we maked. We made everything that we had and we worked hard. That's what we need. Then we have leverage, right? Then that company will have to deliver, right? Because they're going to have to come out with something special. Just imagine if we just stop spending money on games. Let's say new games come out, people stop buying them. And then we just said, hey, we don't want to buy your game because it doesn't have X, Y, and Z. Put X, Y, and Z in it, And we could have literally, we could make a huge impact on the industry. We can get exactly what we want. Well, that's what Lem's here for. That's what my channel represents. If you think I'm a complainer, just move on. Go to the next channel. Go to the next Twitch page. It doesn't matter. Because I'm not here for you. I want the best of the best. I want the best followers. I don't want every follower. I want the best followers. The most loyal followers. The people who like me for me. So you'll follow me on YouTube. You'll follow me on Snap. You'll follow me on Twitch or Twitter because you like the content that I bring. I'm not here to make everyone happy because I know I can't. And that's the problem with people. They want to make everyone their friends. I don't want to have all the friends in the world. I want to have a few great friends because there's a lot of crappy people in the world and I don't want to be friends with all of you. So these companies, we want the best from them. And that's what I want from Marvel Snap. And if I can't get the best, all of you who want to follow them and, you know, jump off a bridge together, go on ahead. I'm not joining. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I gave you my money. That's my choice. You can say shame on me. I'm going to get my money's worth out of this when it's all said and done. But if they don't make the necessary changes, I'll have to abandon ship. I'll have to be going. And cards like the next one that gets nerfed, this is the reason why. Now look at Lockjaw. Now, like, I would love to see how often Lockjaw was played before compared to right now. And again, we can't use these untapped GG and you know, Marvel Snap Zone. Bro, they don't show and reflect everything. They just don't. Not everybody who plays the game is on Marvel Snap Zone. Not everybody who plays the game is on Untapped GG. So we love to develop these theories without seeing all the numbers. And you can say I'm guilty of that too. But I would love to see how much Lockjaw is being played because I can guarantee you he's not going to be played much at all. Who's going to want Lockjaw when you can't play more than one card on his location at the same time for it to be swapped out? So then imagine you have to have specific cards in your deck that allow you to like balance the amount of energy. And there's already RNG in the cards being drawn and put out on the board. But like, if it was an easy no-brainer with Thanos that if you just turn 3, play Lockjaw, turn 4, you could put 3 stones out. Right into Lockjaw. But now you can't put 3 stones out right into Lockjaw. Because you can only put 1 card. After you play a card here, swap it with your card in your deck. Previous. Updated, after you play a card here, swap it with a card in your deck once per turn. This is terrible. Do you think I'm going to play with Lockjaw moving forward? Hell to the no. And the idiots who want to play Lockjaw, go on ahead because he was already an RNG disaster. He's even worse. He's a slow RNG disaster. Lockjaw's a fun and exciting card, but each trigger of his good boy basically draws a card and generates up to 6 energy at random. That's a lot of variance to have in multiple competitive decks. Bro, it's linked to one location. The only card, there was 2 cards in the deck that could help. It was Space Stone, which you can move it. Space Stone still can now if you play Space Stone to a far left location or a far right location, wherever, basically away from the Lockjaw lane. And then there was Cloak. But there's no other cards that they're going to help you to move like 1 card from that lane. So this is just a stupid adjustment. Really, really stupid. I'm not playing Lockjaw. And you want to trust that they got something really cool coming down the pipeline that's going to make this better? Yeah, we're going to wait for that at 52 cards a year. Yeah, buy a deck of cards once a year. That's what that's what Marvel Snap is selling you. 1 deck of cards per year. As we add cards, new and improved ways to sidestep Lockjaw's risk will also become available. Since we believe the most powerful and frustrating use of Lockjaw is triggering him multiple times in a turn, often with a snap along the way. We're changing that, limiting Lockjaw. Who was having problems with Lockjaw? Who was so upset? Oh man, bump this Lockjaw. It's so silly to me. Limiting Lockjaw to one swap each turn forces the player to develop their board without letting them sprint ahead of springing a late surprise. No. The change to Lockjaw is what they really should say is going to stop people from playing Lockjaw. This will make Lockjaw unable to be played against less potent decks because there will be no decks that Lockjaw will be played against because it's useless. Once per turn is not enough. It's stupid. You shouldn't be limiting how many times you can put a dog in there or put a stone in there for Lockjaw. This is silly. Second Dinner doesn't know what they're doing. America Chavez. I know some people claim that this is a buff. I think it's a nothing burger. I don't think anything happens. If not no impact. Previously, she's a 6/9. You always draw this card on turn 6 and not before. I do know for a fact that she would sit at the top of the deck. So now it's saying she starts on the bottom of your deck. Here's where I think they were changing things for monetization. They want you to buy their cards. So they purposely changed America Chavez and Jubilee just for you to purchase cards. That's what they did. And they did the same thing for Lockjaw, for you to purchase cards. That's what they're doing. They don't care about the balance of the game to make it fun. They care about, this is a new take. You ready for this? They care about balancing the game to monetize the value of the cards they're going to be releasing soon. They don't care about balancing the game for the game to be fun. They're creating problems to solve with a solution with a new card they want you to purchase later. But they're doing it with a negative slant. Think about that. I said, let's value fun, right? The fun is create an overpowered card and then create a newly overpowered card. But then I said, make the cards easily accessible. They don't want to make the cards easily accessible. But they're also making all the cards very unfun to play. But then to have fun with the unfun cards, they're going to come out with cards that are going to make the unfun cards more fun, but you got to buy them. You see the opposite of what's happening here? You have to buy more cards to make other cards more fun, instead of just buying cards that are fun. I'm saying to you, make every card fun, and then make new cards come out that are fun, that change up the meta, not nerf cards. So wouldn't it make more sense to buy cards that are fun, play with cards that are easily accessible and buy cards that are fun, and keep playing with cards that are easily accessible and buy more cards that are fun, instead of make cards borderline unplayable, if not playable at all, and then to make those cards that are borderline unplayable fun, buy these new cards that make them better. That's what they're doing. They just admitted it. Since we believe most of the powerful, frustrating use of Lockjaw is triggering him, blah, 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 we're changing that. Limiting Lockjaw one swap each turn. Where is it? This will make Lockjaw simpler, easy to play. Where is it? Lockjaw's fun, exciting card, but each trigger of his good boy basically draws a card and generates up to 6 energy at random. That's a lot of variance to have in multiple competitive decks. As we add cards, new and improved ways to sidestep Lockjaw's risks will also become available. That is them telling on themselves. That's what I wanted to find. As we add cards, new and improved ways to sidestep Lockjaw's risks will also become available. They're telling on themselves. We're making Lockjaw not fun so that you buy a new card that will make Lockjaw more fun. America Chavez starts on the bottom of your deck. Draw this on turn 6. Hold on a second. Stops on draw that your next card. Oh, sorry. Starts on the bottom of your deck. Draw this on turn 6. Previously, if you were about to draw America Chavez, you would just draw your next card instead. This means that over the course of the game, she's a lot more likely to be the top card of your deck. Thus far, this has been largely unimportant and outside of Yondu, but it does restrict our ability to print cards that interact with the top of your deck. Here it is again. But it does restrict our ability to print cards that interact with the top of your deck, because we're going to come out with a card that's going to allow you to look at the top card of your deck. What's the point of having Howard the Duck be worth it if you have America Chavez in your deck that improves the drawability of the cards in your deck, and the only card that's at the top of your deck is always America Chavez? So that's silly. So in order for us to make more money off of you, we're going to sell you cards that are going to take up room in your deck, cards that have very limited types of actions that give you more visibility, which is kind of silly to me, right? They see a problem. People want to have more control, more power, more agency. Instead of making the cards more fun and more powerful, they're purposely making the cards less fun and then making new cards that help existing cards. That's not smart. As you as a consumer purchasing something like that is kind of foolish. Jubilee. On reveal, add a card from your deck to this location. Now, on reveal, add the top card of your deck to this location. Why do you think she's doing that? Because now Jubilee becomes more viable. Because you're going to get Ironclad, or you're going to get Howard the Duck, and he's going to show you what's the top card of your deck, and then you can use Jubilee on next turn, on turn 4, after you put Howard the Duck down on turn 1. You can even ramp up with like the stones, Time Stone. You can ramp up with Psylocke or with Wave, etc. And you can see, oh, I got Howard the Duck, and I can cheat this card out on the board easily. Some other players may remember a time where Jubilee had this ability. Back then, Jubilee would often be a 4/10, as she'd pull America Chavez very consistently. Again, they're purposely trying to divert the attention of being like, remember? Wait, we don't want to tell on ourselves multiple times in a row. We told on ourselves here with Lockjaw, we said here that as we add cards, we told on ourselves. With America Chavez, we tell on ourselves again that she restricts our ability to print cards and interact with the top of your deck, because we want to make all these other cards not that fun, just so we can release cards that you'll purchase that will make those other cards more fun. So they want to sit here and say, there was a time when Jubilee was like this, but she was a 4/10 then. Are you making her a 4/10 now? No. So Jubilee had this ability back then. Jubilee would often be a 4/10. Well, actually, I see what they're saying. I didn't play back then. She was a 4/1. You play America Chavez, she was a 4/10. So I'm wrong in that assessment. My bad. But she pulled America Chavez very consistently. So ignore everything I said, that last part about Jubilee, because that was probably what they meant. We decided at the time to change Jubilee's effect instead of America Chavez, as the former was a much simpler change to communicate. However, we're looking to design cards that interact with the top of your deck in the future. Again, they're telling on themselves. So we're bringing this design back too. We expect this update to have little impact on Jubilee for the time being. They're telling on themselves. I might be wrong about the Jubilee point with 4/10, and because she wasn't ever a 4/10. She was a 4/10 because she would always pull America Chavez, but she wasn't a 4/10 pulling a 9, so then she's a 19, right? That would be outrageous. But as you can see, they're telling on themselves. And this might be the only update that's, it's good. It's not great. I prefer Leader to be back to what he originally was, but Leader was awful after they nerfed him, and he's a little better now. So Leader was copy all cards your opponents play to the location right of here, but on your side. On reveal, copy the enemy cards with the highest power played this turn
but on your side. We were clearly too harsh on leader with his previous nerf, and we're dismayed that action became a good go-to example of how ruinous a nerf can be. Our balanced philosophy is to preserve as much playability as we reasonably can when weakening cards, and we didn't succeed here previously. With this change, we're aiming to bring his strength back up to a playable spot of a 6-cost card, but still avoid the oppressive impact his original form had. We have erred on the cautious side with his power for now because some previous defenses against the original leader, such as playing weaker cards before a strong one, no longer apply. I think this is okay. I would like to see leader, if he's only going to copy the highest card you play, I want to see him get buffed from a 6-2 to something higher, maybe a 6-5 would be nice. But again, I'm always for buffing. And then we're going to quickly go through the bug fixes, and we're not going to go through the known issues, and then we can call it for today. So the game no longer crashes on some Android devices when switching languages. That's good. There's no longer an infinite loop if morph spawns randomly. The Series 3 token shop should now display properly when you have collected all Series 3 cards. Tapping duplicate Kangs in play while the turn is rewinding should no longer cause that card to disappear. Spotlight cards in the Season Pass UI can now be focused by tapping anywhere on the card. Credit/gold deep linking should now navigate to the shop. Sneaky. UI elements such as the avatar menu and emojis should no longer be clickable when viewing a card's details in game. Moving a card into details view and releasing should no longer close the details view. Fix an issue that could cause games to all snap when certain card location combinations were played with Galactus. Fix an issue that allowed you to use characters and deck names that should be blocked. Fix some issues that would cause Sandman's VFX to play in situations where it should not. Cards added to hand by Camp Lehigh no longer overlap cards. That's a good one. I like that. The navigation bar doesn't stay up when going to news items and then back to the main menu. King should no longer cause this is good. Should cause the in-game user to be caught in a loop. Well, I was thinking of something else there. Snapping after Kang's been played should no longer result in overlapping UI. That's good. Claiming collector's reserves after upgrading a card should no longer fail. That's good. Variant cards in the shop should no longer display the ROM. That's another one that's been egregious for a while. The RAS VFX should no longer be missing when your opponent triggers the effect. Sort and filter UI elements should no longer remain open in the collection tab when navigating to other screens. Non-functional full screen options should no longer be visible for iOS. Fix Camp Lehigh's VFX, that's great. And then these are two PC. So UI elements should be properly anti-aliased on high settings, and Limbo should now display properly. So that's cool. And then known issues, this is irrelevant. I mean, if you don't know these by now, you could check them out later. Because, I mean, the game, it is what it is. So that's all the updates that we've had for today. My overall thoughts on the patch and the updates. It's okay. I think the nerfs kind of negate a lot of the positives that happened early on reading this. I don't really like the Shuri update. It's not terrible. I'll give them that, right? I don't want to say it's terrible because it's not. Leech, I don't think really impacts Leech all that much. I gave my reasonings earlier. They might have buffed Leeched a little bit. Lockjaw, I think it's terrible. America Chavez, they're telling on themselves. Jubilee, they're telling on themselves. Leader is a step in the right direction. I still think he needs a little more work. And then this one, I mean, again, you see a lot of questionable updates in here that point, or wording and phrases that point to a lot of things that I think people overlook. And this is one of those things. They're overlooking this. When I say they, I mean the fans. We're overlooking how they are manipulating us and the situation, and it's going to bite them in the you know what. So we'll see. I think this is overall maybe like a 6 out of 10 update. There's a lot more to be desired here, but we're gonna stop that right here for today's stream. I'm glad you guys joined me here, and I'm excited to get some gameplay in. So I might start streaming in a few moments, or I might just stream on my own. So and just have some fun myself. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to be here with me. I hope you guys are enjoying your day. As always, if you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, just look up the salvation prayer or the sinner's prayer. Pray that prayer. Receive Christ as your Lord and personal Savior. It is the best thing that you could ever do in your life, period. Eternity is forever. This life is not. So thank you for your time. Peace, love, and hat. I will talk to you later. I'm your nemesis, the Lemesis. I'm out.